Merry Christmas. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Coach JV. I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you guys out here. So, today's message is going to be breaking down presents, the true gift. Before we do, my name is Coach JV. If this is your first time on my channel, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, from my family's heart to yours, for believing in me and the information that I'm providing. Everything I provide is not financial advice. I'm speaking only from my own paradigm and how I've radically transformed my life and my family's life from 2020 being on my parents' couch completely broke to financial freedom and setting up the Rockefeller system, which we call the waterfall system. So in today's video, I'm going to break down Christmas presents. And I'm going to break that down from my perspective and how I've radically transformed my life spiritually, mentally, and physically. Before we do, I have three amazing resources for you. Number one, if you just heard me talk about the Rockefeller system, I made an obsessive focus since 2000. Well, I was in banking in 2009 all the way to 2017. And ironically, even being in the banking system, a vice president, going to CBA executive banking school, I still was indoctrinated. So I decided, because I went broke for the third time in 2019 to 2020 when they shut my business down with the C word as we look this way for the pandemic, I decided to make it my mission to understand how money flows through the system. And guys, it's not designed against you. It's designed for you to win. So it's about flipping that paradigm, which I'm going to talk about a little bit with Christmas today. So first resource is a free consultation with my Index Universal Life team. So we have many different products and services. It's a free, absolutely free. Do not respond to these scammers. That's not me on Telegram. That's not me in your Instagram messages. And that is not me asking about your portfolio. I do not invest people's money. We are licensed insurance agents. We have a free conversation to teach you how we secure, compound, and grow our wealth with insurance. Okay. Second is a 16-page guide on exactly how I did this. Absolutely free in the description down below. And if you want to, you can apply for our academy. Our academy is now private. We did this in the beginning. We went back to private to provide a better experience. So if you apply, you can apply for our academy. That is a paid academy, just to be very clear. All right. So let's dive right into this. So Merry Christmas. Now I want to make it very clear. You get all these comments, right, when you put Merry Christmas out there. So to me, Christmas is about Christ, the Chrism, a sacred secretion process that happens in your body. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. The reason why I believe from a current paradigm is because my life has radically changed. 17 years ago, on December 18th, 2006, I committed suicide. On December 18th, 2006, I committed suicide due to a massive opiate addiction. And from that point, all the way 17 years later to where I'm at today, losing my money 3 times in that process, and finally truly embodying what I'm here to do, which is through seeking the Christ within me, has radically transformed my life. So the only thing I can tell you that changed from my life 17 years ago to who I am today is Christ. And now maybe a different Christ that you think of. I believe Jesus Christ died for our sins, right? And the reason why I'm going to bring this up and the things I'm going to share with you from a logical circuit and a practical application is just to get you to critically think and start to ask questions. Now, my first trigger in banking school was when I asked one of the professors, because I was just having trouble understanding. I have severe dyslexia, so I really have to pay attention. Numbers, I really have to try to understand that. So just my brain works a little bit different, right? So what I really paid attention, I really studied, and when I understand how the banking system work, where we put our money into the bank lent it out, almost 100% of our money, they insured our wealth, and they put it in the capital markets. I was like, wait a minute, that kind of doesn't make sense. It's not a nonprofit organization. It's clear. It's in the account disclosures and all the different things in the addendas. They're not hiding it from you. That's how banks work. They secure your money, and you get to transact and do all these different things for convenience, and they take your money and they make a shitload of money off your money. So I asked one of the professors one time, I said, why is it this way? He said, that's the way it's always been. And that was my first trigger. I got this gut feeling down here in what's called my sacral. I was like, just because that's the way it's always been doesn't mean it's right. Okay. That's just because that's the way it's been doesn't mean it's right. Then I started to realize that the information that we're adopting is just from indoctrination and parroted down from our grandparents to our parents to us. So what you're experiencing currently right now within your current paradigm is deep indoctrination from the 1900s, where a very wealthy family said, we have enough educated people, we need workers. And what do you think we're experiencing right now? Our grandparents went through the Great Depression. They got rocked. So they lived in this scarcity mindset. putting their money under their mattress, the saving mentality, which is one of the worst ways to grow your wealth in regards to understanding how money moves through the system. You don't want to put it under a mattress or just let it sit in a bank account. You want that money to multiply. You want to grow that money. There's nothing wrong with saving money, but what vehicle are you saving it in, right? So our grandparents pass that down to our parents, but at the same time, our financial structure, our religious structure, our schooling system indoctrinated us just to believe and parrot information. And we never ask ourselves, why do we believe what we believe? So when I started to go through this process of awakening after my suicide in December 18th, 2006, I first discovered Buddhism, right? I discovered The Secret first, which opened up my mind to thoughts become things. Then I went into Buddhism and I was going to this little Buddhist temple, like these Buddhist monks came to Mesa, Arizona, and they had a house that you could go there and worship, or is that the right word? Worship or go practice Buddhism. And so I was looking for an answer, right? So I go to this Buddhist temple, and there was one of the Buddhist monks wore Jordans, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. I call him the monk with Jordans. And so when I was going through this process, mind you, I was just coming off suicide. I went into banking, had a drug addiction, depression. Doctors had me on Zoloft, and they put me on Depakote, which is a anti seizure medication, on top of my Zoloft. I was a walking zombie, right? So when I was going into Buddhism, I was looking for an answer, right? I was looking for an answer, key, outside. I was looking for an answer, right? And the Buddhist monk, first time, the first lesson that I learned, and I didn't realize the lesson until almost 13, 14 years later. But I was sitting, trying to sit Indian style, and I see everybody just sitting so calmly, and I have very tight hips and, thick upper body and kind of longer legs. So I really have a lot of trouble with flexibility. Just my fault. I'm not being flexible, right? So it's that sit Indian style be super, super uncomfortable. And I couldn't get into a meditative state. And one time he walked by, he says, "What's wrong?" I said, I can't concentrate. I can't sit Indian style. He says, "Why are you sitting Indian style?" And I said, "Because everybody else is." He said, "So?" And he said, "How are you comfortable?" I said, "Laying down." He goes, "Then lay down." And when he walked by, he said to me, "Always do you." Well, that kind of frustrated me because I wanted to mold in. I wanted to be like everybody else, right? Then we're doing walking meditation outside, heel toe. We're walking around. And this was about a year, 2 years, year and a half, 2 years after my suicide. The timelines are all kind of mixed together. It's been such a while, and things have happened so rapidly in 17 years. So it was around 2000 banking at this time. I remember it was around 2007, 2008. And I remember doing this heel toe meditation. All of a sudden, I was like, I felt it. I felt it. And he's like, "What?" And I said, "I felt the sun on one side and the breeze on the other side. I felt these sensations. I was present." I said, "Is that the answer?" He said, "I don't know." And I left Buddhism because I was looking for an answer. Right. And then I realized years later, as I was doing a podcast, the answer was do me, always be authentic. And number two, he doesn't have the answer for me. So as I went through this process, and I ended up leaving banking in 2017, which was a beautiful journey for me. Was also a scary, disastrous in the physical world. It looked like a complete disaster where I lost my money twice. And through this process, I went through a massive spiritual journey where I went out to Peru. Okay. Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you go out to Peru." And yes, I did plant medicines. I've been very open about it on my Refined Integrity channel. So if you click the link down, or if you go down to the bottom of our recommended channels, you'll see Refined Integrity, where I'm really opening up about my spiritual journey. I'm only speaking from my paradigm. I'm not trying to get you to believe anything. What I'm trying to get you to do is to ask yourself, why do you believe what you believe? You shouldn't just say, "Because my parents taught me that, because my grandparents taught me that." How does that practically apply to your life? And how I got here is because as I went through this process, I went to Peru and I went through some deep plant medicine experiences. And I truly, for me, met God. And I started to understand that it was a deep internal process inside of me. And as I started to seek deeper and deeper and deeper, I realized it was nothing outside of me, just like the Buddhist monk said. He said, "I don't have the answer for you." As Jesus said, the single eye, he didn't have the answer for you. He said, "Pick up your mat and walk. Do you want to be healed?" Think about that for just a moment. Moses went up and to the right hemisphere of the brain. He gave God all the left hemisphere stuff, the carnal mind. "I can't do this. I can't do this. I have a speech impediment." And God said to him, "No, you are the great I am that I am." Then he goes down and expresses to the slaves, I'm the great I am that I am. Boom. He takes his staff. Well, remember what the staff was? It was a snake that became a staff. And he mastered the Kundalini, which is the snake within your body. A snake is not a bad thing. They go through the Red Sea, parts of the Red Sea with the staff. They lose faith. Ye of little faith. In the Bible, God said snakes to bite them. What happens when you're negative? When you're negative, everything happens to you. It's carnal mind. You go from the higher consciousness, right hemisphere, creation, love, kindness, Christ consciousness, and you go down into the carnal mind, out of your heart, down into the lower rung, and you're living for the world. And then everything happens to you. Just like from a practical sense, when I was a drug addict, guys, I went from a clean cut dude to a full blown opiate addict, stealing money, a horrible human being. I get deeper and deeper in the carnal mind, but just like the prodigal son, I rose back up through my heart, tapped back into myself, understand who I was, became authentic, truly loving in gratitude. And the prodigal son, God invited me back. God is always with you. God has never forsaken you. So it goes into Christmas, Chrism. There's a process that happens in your body every 28 days. It's science. There's 33 vertebrae in your spine. Okay. Jesus was crucified on what mountain? The mountain of the skull. Jesus died at 33. He was crucified on the mountain of the skull. Your spine has 33 vertebrae that goes up into your skull. Jesus died for 3 days. There's a chrism, Christ, Christmas, a process that happens in your body every 28 days. The oil dies. It goes back down. It rises back up. It goes back down. The prodigal son comes back, rises, dies, comes back up. There's a process that happens every 28 days in your body. Jesus talked about the temples, right? What's in between your temples? Okay. The eye, the pineal gland. I remember when I was in corporate America, coming from a practical sense, I got written up for talking about the pineal gland as an executive. I was like, what do you mean? They said to me, the HR was like, my boss is on the phone, HR was on the phone. They said, you can't talk about the pineal gland. You're not a doctor. I said, ma'am, not one doctor has ever talked to me about the pineal gland. There's not one doctor that I have met that's tapping and tuning me into my pineal gland. And then when I realized when they say to me, go pray in your closet, JV, stop praying on Twitter, go pray in your closet. People don't even realize the context of that. Understand why you're saying what you're saying. Why you go in your closet is because how is the pineal gland activated? When it's dark. The pineal gland, okay, the singular eye that Jesus talked about, when you go into your closet and you sit with God in silence, the pineal gland opens. Jacob, what did Jacob say, guys? I saw God face to face. He said, I saw God face to face, and I called it pineal. He went into his closet and he prayed because in darkness, the pineal gland is activated, which is your understanding of God and consciousness and higher conscious, your imagination, the seeds that are planted. The pineal gland is like a seed. Okay, it's planted. And then when you come out into the light outside of your closet, all the physical things that you see are the seeds that you planted, which are thoughts, just like the secret thoughts become things. Just like Moses went up into the right hemisphere of the brain or went up the right to the mountain, told God all the left hemisphere of the brain stuff. He said, you are the great I am. So he changed his thoughts. I am powerful. I am strong. I'm worthy. Comes down and he was so enlightened and so vibrant that the people dropped their stuff and went with them. And they even went so far to go through the Red Sea with him because he parted it, because he mastered the snake, the Kundalini, and it became a staff. His spine became strong. And the prodigal son went down into the carnal mind, down into the world, and then came back. He said, get the fatted calf. This happens in your body over and over and over again. So Christmas, Merry Christmas to every single one of you, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jehovah's Witness, whether you're Church of Latter-day Saints, whatever religion you are, I freaking love you, man. We are all going towards the same thing, guys. The separation that's created, that's the devil's playground. That's the prince. He is the prince of the earth. That's what Jesus said. Do you really think that God represents anything else but love and kindness and creation? Do you really think God wants us killing each other for our religions? Absolutely not. That's what the devil does. There's a lot of different things going on within my life right now, and that's my answer to how I became financially free, spiritually free, mentally free, and great relationships with my kids and my family and my ecosystem. Christ consciousness, Christ. Jesus Christ is very, very real to me. Very real to me. I love Jesus Christ with all my heart. And I like to call him Yeshua because just another bit of science as well. Just know it's science. Sorry. A little bit of facts, figures, numbers, logic is his name is not Jesus. It's Yeshua. J didn't even exist in the Bible when the Bible was created, guys. They changed his name to Jesus Christ, Chrism, sacred secretion process that happens in your body every 28 days. And they get you to look outside of yourself so you don't know. That's what, think about this. Jesus was gone for 18 years. Christians call it the lost years of Jesus. Okay. Logic. He was gone for 18 years. Where did he go? What did he do? But what he came back with for those 2 years was so powerful that they crucified him on the cross, on the mountain of the skull at 33 years old. You have 33 vertebrae, you have a skull. Jesus died for 3 days. The oil dies for 2.5, 2.8 days, goes up, comes back down, and repeats the process every 28 days. So tap in, tune in, guys, because 2024 is going to be the most radical transformation of your life. This awareness, this consciousness is coming to light. And they call it the rapture because it is. Because people who believe, people who are higher, I don't care what religion you are, it doesn't matter. If you're a believer and you're higher conscious, you are going to raise up. It's going to get magnified. And if you are deep in depression and you are a naysayer and you're constantly negative, you are going to go down the energy frequency field. Yes, there is going to be a separation in consciousness. It is going to be the biggest battle in consciousness in 2024. But I know if you're watching this to this point, I love you very much. And I'm not trying to get you to believe anything. I'm only speaking from experience. I believe the Bible is encoded in our DNA at a deep, deep level, guys. And I may lose some followers for this, and I'm okay with that because the ecosystem I built allows me to speak this way because I only want to be around people who are speaking their truth. I'm not saying speak my truth and say that this is true for you. But I'd rather be around people who stand on their own and stand on their own truth, their own principles, their own morals, their own ethics, than somebody who's telling me that I'm wrong. Let's lock arm in arm. Let's be happy in Christmas, Christ, whatever you believe in, Hanukkah, whatever you believe in, and let's lock arm in arm and let's expand consciousness together. So Merry Christmas. Yes, I had presents with my kids. We broke bread. We had a great time. But I also sat with my kids this morning and told them, I'm going to start crying. I told them the power of Jesus Christ is real. That God is real. And in our household, we love God. And we love God with all of our heart. We have 3 rules. We love God with all of our heart. We treat humanity. We love God as we love humanity as we love God. We treat others as we want to be treated. And we pull the log out of our eye before we pull the straw out of others. Simple. My kids know that that's God. They're on their own path. I'm here to be a shining light for them. But damn well, God stands tall in our house. God is the foundation of our house, and Jesus is the teachings that we follow. So all I'm asking for this year is peace and prosperity for all human beings I come in contact with. So I love you guys. I appreciate you, and I hope to meet you someday. Warriors, rise. Get your shit together. Let's go. Love you guys.